can you please conduct roll call?
Yes, sir. Mr. Jones. Mr. Adams is absent. Mr. Grow. Mr.
Here.
Mr. Melvin. Mr. Wendell. Mr. Araby. Chairman Oten.
Here.
Mrs. Chesson.
Here.
Mr. Lorraine. President Chesson.
If everyone would please rise, we'll be led in the invocation by Councilman Gross, second by Pledge of Allegiance by Councilman Wendell.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen.
Allegiance to the
Flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'd like to welcome everyone to tonight's meeting. Also like to remind anyone wishing to address the council to please fill out a blue form at the entrance and get that blue form up to our council clerk to make sure that we recognize you. Also, on ordinances, we will ask for public's input so you can stand up and talk about any particular item you like to under ordinances. Once we get to resolutions, however, it's only going to be the council that will be discussing. And at this time, I also would ask anyone that has a phone on to please put on vibrate or turn it off. With that said, we'll jump right into the agenda. Item A, approval of minutes. Number one, I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes of the April 25th, 2023 regular meeting. So moved by Councilman Araby, second by Councilman Grow. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence. That absence being Councilman Adams. Item B, state and or federal legislative updates. I don't see any federal or state legislators in the audience. Item C, we have none. Ms. Carleen. Brings us to item D, proclamations. Number 2, Parish President Archie Chesson to present a proclamation proclaiming May 2023 as Older Americans Month. Mr. President, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Whereas Lafourche Parish includes a growing number of older Americans who contribute their strength, wisdom, and experience to our parish. And whereas the parish benefits when people of all ages, abilities, and backgrounds are welcomed, including, and supported. Whereas Lafourche Parish recognizes our need to create a parish that provides the services and supports for older Americans that older Americans need to thrive and live independently as long as possible. And whereas Lafourche Parish acknowledges the importance of taking part in activities that promote the physical, mental, and emotional well-being for everyone regardless of age. And whereas the Lafourche Parish can work to build an even better community for our older residents by planning programs that encourage independence, ensuring activities that are responsive to individuals of all needs and preferences, and increasing access to services that support aging in place. Whereas Lafourche Parish citizens are urged to recognize the contributions of our older citizens to help create an inclusive society and to join efforts to support older Americans' choices about how they should age in their communities. Now, therefore, I, Archie Chesson, Parish President Lafourche, do hereby proclaim May 2023 as Older Americans Month. And I think Ms. Charlene is here.
All right, item 3, Parish President Archie Chesson to present a proclamation proclaiming May 7th through the 13th, 2023 as National Travel and Tourism Week. Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Whereas the travel industry fuels every industry and will continue to be an essential part of Lafourche Parish's economy, development, and workforce. And whereas travel is an economic powerhouse for every state and destinations across the country with an economic output of $2.6 trillion in 2022, supporting 14.5 million American jobs. And whereas travel spending supports a vibrant and safe communities in Lafourche Parish and across the United States by generating $84 billion in state and local tax revenue in 2022 to support essential services such as education, emergency response, and public safety. And whereas travel enables success for all industries, including manufacturing, agriculture, defense, healthcare, and more, by driving sales growth, innovation, education, and operations that move our economy and our nation and Lafourche Parish forward. And whereas promoting Louisiana's Cajun Bayou, Lafourche Parish, as a year-round regional, national, and international travel destination is vital to our local economy and creates tax revenues not paid by residents that fund important public services. And whereas tourism generated $95 million in visitor spending, $7.37 million in state taxes, and $3.72 million in local taxes in 2021 in Lafourche Parish. And whereas traveler spending has a direct economic impact of $54 million prior to the pandemic and supports over 1,280 jobs in Lafourche Parish. And whereas the travel industry cannot recover without the full return of leisure, business, and international inbound travelers increasing to and within the United States, drives America forward to a more prosperous future. And whereas the travel industry's success will grow Lafourche Parish's economy and workforce, since prior to the pandemic, small business accounted for 60% of leisure and hospitality employment. And whereas travel is an essential industry and we must continue to communicate the growth of the travel needs as it leads to economic growth, benefits businesses, and fosters mutual understanding. Now therefore, I, Archie Chesson, Parish President Lafourche, do hereby proclaim May 7th through the 13th, 2023 as National Travel and Tourism Week. I believe we have Ms. Marguerite, Mr. Cody, and Mr. Ian here from Louisiana's Cajun Bayou.
Cody, if you don't mind, just state your name and address for the record.
There we go. Okay, you can hear me now. Cody Gray, 4484 Highway 1, Raceland, Louisiana. Just want to say thank y'all for recognizing National Travel and Tourism Week. We appreciate the support that Lafourche Parish government provides for our organization, and we really appreciate you all believing in what we do and also the economic benefit that it presents to this parish. So on behalf of our organization, our board of directors, and our team, thank y'all so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Cody. Item 4, Parish President Archie Chesson to present a proclamation proclaiming May 2023 as Veterans Month.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And whereas May we celebrate our veterans and their families, both living and deceased, for their patriotism and their contributions to our nation in times of war and peace. And whereas we as citizens are indebted to our veterans and their families for their bravery and sacrifices, which have proved for many the freedoms that we cherish today, especially those veterans suffering from illness such as post-traumatic stress disorders and presumptive conditions, or experiencing homelessness or living as shut-ins. Whereas organizations such as the American Veterans Advocacy and Vets United work diligently to assist veterans and their families, acting as their caregivers, receiving critical benefits and health care services, and to bring about awareness that those benefits and services to veterans and their families in need. Whereas it is our obligation to ensure that those who have served and those who are serving their country and their families are recognized for their selflessness and their dedication to the preservation and health and well-being of others. Now, therefore, I, Archie Chesson, Parish President Lafourche, do hereby proclaim the month of May as Veterans Month. And I think we have a few veterans. Mr. Chairman, if you want to join us for this picture as a veteran yourself,
absolutely.
that'd be great.
You hold the gavel if need be. If you don't mind, just state your name and your record, for the record.
My name is Johnny Smith. I live in Thibodaux, Louisiana, 1610 Cardinal Drive. This is Gus Marie. He's one of our executives. Our organization, Vets United, was given this same proclamation last year, and I want to thank you all once again. This year, we're putting on a special event on Armed Forces Day at the Regional Military Museum, May 20th, 2023. We're asking that our shut-in veterans in all our nursing homes in the 2 parishes be recognized on that day. So we named that day Remember Them. So we're going to have this motorcycle bike ride from Regional Military Museum to all 8 nursing homes. I think it's 4 here in Lafourche Parish and 4 in Terrebonne Parish. So if you know any bike riders, motorcycle riders who want to join us, they can meet us at the Regional Military Museum at 9 o'clock on the 20th of May. Mr. Marie is going to be the new commander of Post 272 in Montague. I'm going to let him speak on his own.
Yes, I'm here to introduce myself. My name is Gus Marie. I live at 122 Pelican Street in Chauvin. I'm sure everybody knows where that's at.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm being introduced as the new commander of Russell Redmond Post 272 in Montague. You're welcome to come visit anytime.
Good deal.
I'd like to say also that all of our veterans that are associated with this parish, we would love for them to come and join us on that day. It's all free food. Only thing we're going to do is meet and mingle with one another and remember those who are shut in our nursing homes throughout the country. That's why we named it National Veterans Month, because Memorial Day is the only day that we're going to actually do any kind of ceremony at the museum for our fallen veterans. So on the 29th of May, that's Memorial Day, and we will have an event that day at the museum. And I appreciate if every one of you show up. Thank you very much.
Good deal. Thank you, gentlemen.
Or,
Yes, go ahead, T.A.
I just want to thank all of y'all veterans that are here tonight, and I want to thank all the veterans, because if it wouldn't be for y'all veterans, we wouldn't be sitting here tonight. So we thank y'all for everything y'all did for us, and we appreciate everything. Thank you.
Thank you for those kind words, Terry. Item E, presentations and/or updates. Number 5, Parish President to recognize LPG Employee of the Month and/or WOW employees for the month of April 2023. Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Our Employee of the Month this month is a critical piece of our communications department, which narrows it down to 2 people. But she is the critical piece in that, I can promise you. And oftentimes you can find her running around the parish interviewing employees for our monthly spotlight and writing our press releases and working through our social media pages. She's often behind the scenes working to showcase everyone else in the parish, but rarely does she get the recognition that she deserves. She goes above and beyond each and every time we give her a task to do in her day-to-day efforts, and the parish continues to grow and be put on a map from a media perspective because of her efforts. Our Employee of the Month this month is Ms. Caroline Eshte.
Thank you. Congratulations, Carolyn. Item F, Legal Advisor Report. We have none. Item G, Engineers and/or Architect Reports. I see a couple. All right, you have the floor first.
Good evening, John Blazons with GIS Engineering, 16878 in Cutoff, West Main Street in Cutoff. Several projects working with y'all to report on tonight. First is the Butch Hill Pump Station. get to control this. Okay, we're in the final design phase, nearing completion. We've given a 95% set to Dylan for his review. The specifications have been completed, and the coastal use permit is in progress. We anticipate that within the next couple of months, so we should be ready to bid right about that time, July or August timeframe. The Ludovine Pump Station, again, this is actually a North Lafourche Levee District project, but we've been working closely with the staff here on this. First advertisement actually came out today on this project, and we will be taking bids on June 8th. Valentine Pontoon Bridge repair, again, we've been working really hard on this through DOTD. We've done the 95% design on this, and DOTD is reviewing that. LPA Stage O documents are with the RAISE grant, where a bunch of the funding is coming from, and we have an LTAP training scheduled at the end of May for those of us who are working on that grant program. Grand Bayou Freshwater reintroduction. We submitted a preliminary package to y'all last week. Y'all are presently reviewing that, so we're going to be moving on with that as Dylan finishes his review, and Archie. Waste collection facility at the old dump site in Raceland. We have got some preliminary design documents. The geotech has gone out and done their soil borings. There is a 10 to 15 foot thick garbage layer with a clay cap that was put in, I believe, back in the 80s when the dump was closed. So we are working with DEQ to figure out what choices we have, whether we have to stay on top of that cap, whether we can remove some of the garbage, or whether we can just drive piles through the trash layer. Hurricane Ida pump station rehab, we have 6 pump stations we're working on with y'all. We've revised the reports on Ravenswood and Magnolia, waiting on FEMA response. We did that back in December. The other 4, Natural Gas Company, Canal Lake, Gidry, and Old Valentine, and those reports have been completed. And the hydrological and hydraulic models and reports have been submitted to review on Ravenswood and Magnolia, and Edgar Gidry. We are working on that as we speak. The emergency backup pumps for all of the parish, all the grant procurement has been delivered. We've got 4 24 hydraulic pumps and 4 30-inch hydraulic pumps and drives have been delivered, and the discharge pipes and fittings have been delivered. So they should be ready to go on a day like today when we have bad storms if any of the pumps go out. The North Barrios Street drainage improvements, we've completed the field surveying and have started the hydraulic model, which should be completed sometime next week. And we expect to have plan and profile drawings with proposed improvements by this time next month. Unisolomon Pump Station rehab, we got together with Dylan in the last few weeks to finalize what type of pump to use, so we are moving forward. We expect to have a submittal to y'all, probably not the end of the month, but sometime early in June. The Lockport Elevated Boardwalk, phases 2 and 3, we've submitted a study and report document. ELOS is moving forward with the permitting for the geotech exploration, and we continue to work with y'all to find funding sources for this project. It's about a $2 million project, $1 million for each phase, so it's pretty expensive, but we are working on finding some funds for y'all. And that's it.
Mr. Lorraine.
Yeah, John, on that Grand Bois project with the pumps, is that gonna push fresh water in from about where Dufresne, they cut that levee from there all the way to Pointe-aux-Champs? Is that?
Where the block is going to go basically from the intracoastal by Mr. Maurice Nakan's boat launch.
Right.
All the way down it should get through that gate and can keep going.
But the furthest it's gonna go is gonna be the levee that's cutting, no?
No, their gates.
It's not really
typically
gonna help
be
the
open.
South Lafourche levee district to the south.
Pretty much will. That gate's typically gonna be open. It's only gonna be closed in storms, so most of the time,
It's-
that water will get through that
You're
gate.
just helping a portion.
Well, I mean,
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, Mr. President.
So the modeling results that GIS did with their hydraulic modelers, we actually pushed the salinity level back all the way down to Catfish Lake. So the way it operates, it pulses at 1,000 CFS, 8, 12 hours, depending on how high the intercoastal is, right? But we should
Well-
change the salinity level all the way down to Catfish Lake.
Well, the only thing I'm gonna say, that remains to be seen.
Yeah, I think what he was talking about, because y'all did present us with those numbers were, but what he's talking about, I think is, if I understood him, was about when the gates closed. Then you,
oh, yeah.
the new
The gate's closed, it of course won't get past the gate, but if there's a reason for the gate to be closed, we won't be pumping either, though.
Mr. Window.
Hey, John, you talked about the garbage collection station, or the dumping station at the old dump, and the pilings. Are we drilling pilings just for the foundation of the dump ramps, or putting buildings out there?
If we dry pilings, it would be just for the foundation of the dump ramp.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we're not planning any buildings at this time.
Good. I wish the tourism people hadn't left and they could have witnessed or heard to talk about the elevated boardwalk, because that's obviously something that they'll be promoting. Being they got nationwide news, with all this the last few years, so it's really an exciting program, but I wish they were here to engage them with it.
And Mr. Chairman, just so you know, Megan in our CZM office is working on the same grant application that funded the first step. And we do have a meeting with the landowner early next week to lay out the plan for him, so he understands what's going on. Just so he's aware when we submit the grant application, if anything, anybody reaches out to him, he knows what the next two phases look like. So that should happen next week.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you all.
Appreciate it. Any other engineers in our architect reports? All right. Item H, public wishing to address the council, public hearings, agenda items, et cetera. Ms. Carleen.
Mr. Alvin Nake, you come to the podium, sir. State your name and address. and
Alvin Narcan, 485 Waverly.
You have 3 minutes.
Oh, I see what it is.
I wanted to address the council tonight. I'm having a problem with the Purple Martins. Mr. Jones, you said the Purple Martins were going to leave May 5th. Those Purple Martins come in March, and they don't leave till September and into October. So I'm stuck with the expense of gloves, wasting a lot of water. I'm not trying to have someone and tell them not to have some birds, but these birds, we have to, just like people think they want dogs. People think they want cats. Now we have $1 million problem, right? I'm only asking to not eliminate, but to limit these bird nesting houses. I counted 90 birds last year on their high line when they go to leave. There were 90. You could imagine how much bird droppings I'm dealing with out there on a daily basis. I can go out there and wash that cement. And my son, he's 44 and have full-blown autism. If anyone knows about autism, not the ones that go to school and says, I was substituting at school. Young man was only 8 years old. He says, and I asked him why he was cutting up in class. Mama told me if I don't do what I do, I won't get them $20 off that check. Now that makes my son look bad with full-blown autism. Mr. Jones, you said neighbors are at war? We're not at war. Let me play something for you.
Mr. Nake, as you address the chair, we can all hear you, but you're addressing the chair when you,
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And I'm going to tell you because of what you said, what he said, about my character that people don't like me on Waverly, those people, those neighbors. I feel that he's putting each and every one of us when we come to a meeting like that in danger. It's okay to do that for me. I could take it on the chin. But what about that person with mental illness and hear that? Might not take it as well. Then we'd be like sitting ducks, right? This is my neighbor. You know, after you effed up and realize you did it, it's kind of late, because my attorney told me to ban both those families, because the younger one is what I call toxic. And what he does is, he didn't want me at Waverly. At that address, he had a friend he wanted there. But the friend didn't have the duckies the mayor have, and I'm the mayor. Remember that, Mr. Jones? I'm the mayor of Waverly.
Once again, Mr. Knocking, address the chair.
Okay, I understand. This is my neighbor speaking.
Kenny Payne next door. We need to talk, get behind us what happened a couple of weeks ago. We were such good neighbors before. We need to get back to that. So when you feel like talking, just give me a call. I'll talk to you then. Bye-bye.
Kind of contradict what Mr. Jones was saying about me. In the no-flying zone. We never had a no-flying zone.
All right, Mr. Araby relinquishes you. You have 3 additional minutes, and that'll be it, Mr. Knockin, so you can wrap it up in 3 minutes.
Okay. I'm just asking for help, not to eliminate, but to please limit these boxes. Now, to be fair with the birds and for the birds, even though what I'm going through, they're already nesting, and they're going to be there till September, October. I'm asking this council, and I know there's good government up here. I know some of you are very good government people, and you're going to care about people, that we do something about this problem. And it's not asking much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Knockin. Anyone have any comments? Mr. Jones?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'm not going to rebuttal to that, and I'm not going to put an ordinance up on the book for birds. And I'm going to leave it as that.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Anyone else like to comment? Nope. All right, thank you, Mr. Knockin. Ms. Carleen?
Mr. Philip Goat, you come to the podium. Mr. Goat, state your name and address for the record, sir, and please remember you have 3 minutes.
Philip Goat, 1421 Highland Drive, Lockport, Louisiana. I'm here looking for an update on the for the Council on Aging. Hopefully that something has been done, and maybe we can get a little progress report.
So I don't know if you have any update, Mr. Pratt. I think the last you said would be before the end of the summer, before the work here was done, so you'd have nothing till after the summer, as I recall. Any
Yes, sir.
updates?
No, I mean, the roof project is still ongoing. We're waiting for the contractor to mob in with the delivery materials, and then once the roof is done again, we'll turn to the interior side of the work, but nothing new on that front.
Let me just add something. Before Hurricane Ida came and destroyed much of the southern part of the parish, we had not this council, but the council agreed to buy the Walmart building in South Lafourche. With that purchase, we incorporated a library and a number of service centers. It was glorious for the 10th Ward. Why can't we do it here? Why do we insist on, or the government insist on breaking everything up? You know, just made a proclamation for the senior citizens. Well, senior citizens are very important, and most of y'all aren't there yet, but it's coming. And we need to think about the senior citizen. We need to think about other residents, trying to consolidate government instead of spending our tax dollars needlessly by building different establishments. So I wish y'all would think about that and give some thought to the senior citizen. The next thing is dirt pit, commercial dirt pits. I spoke with Mr. Araby about it a while back. What is the regulation on dirt pit? Do we have any? As far as I know, we have no regulation.
Well, I think this went to court at some point in time in the past, but as far as the government having a dirt pit, or are you talking about just
No
public?
parameters on digging a dirt pit.
You have anything,
No,
Officer?
and I believe, Mr. Go, when you were on the council, we tried to get some type of regulation, and we never could get it through the council, but because we have no zoning, there is no regulation on the
Well,
farming of dirt.
Just to let y'all know, our parish, Lafourche Parish, is very narrow. We have very little usable land, and every day we're losing some of it from erosion and settling. And to have commercial dirt pits where some of our dirt will go to Homer or Terrebonne Parish, it's absurd. One of the areas next to my daughter's house, the guy's digging 40 acres of dirt pit with no regulations on slope or anything. It's idiotic, you know. Y'all, hopefully, as government, will come up with something and set some rules. Jefferson Parish says if you dig a hole, you fill it. They have an ordinance to that effect. And I think that's a little bit extreme. And, you know, if somebody wants to build up a lot to build a house, that's not commercial. You can do that. But to have 40-acre dirt pit and the central part of the parish is absurd. We don't have that much land to risk losing. Anyway, I would appreciate y'all take that under advisement, as well as the Council on Aging, and combining some of the services so we could be more of a one-stop shop. Thank y'all.
Good deal. Thank you, Philip.
That's it, Mr. Chairman.
All right, that's it. Thank you, Ms. Carleen. All right, here we go. Item I, public hearing and ordinances for ratification. I'll now entertain a motion to open public hearing. So moved by Councilman Gross, second by Councilman Melvin. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence. That absence being Councilman Adams. I get tongue-tied when I go between Melvin and Wendell. I don't know why. Anyway, item 6, ordinance to install a caution autistic child in the area sign on St. Charles Bypass Road, Thibodaux, Louisiana, Ward 3, District 4, Parish of Lafourche, State of Louisiana, installing the necessary caution autistic child in the area sign to be placed near the address of 217 St. Charles Bypass Road, Thibodaux, Louisiana. Moved by Councilman Melvin, second by Councilman Araby. Would anyone from the public like to comment on ordinance number 6? Second call for public input on ordinance number 6. Last and final call for anyone from the public that would like to comment on ordinance 6. Would anyone from the council like to discuss? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passes 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence. That absence being Councilman Adams. Item 7, ordinance establishing a no overnight parking of boats at all wharves, no commercial vehicle parking overnight at the boat launch, boats left in the parking lot overnight prohibited, and crab traps left in the parking lot prohibited signs to be posted at the Leeville Boat Launch, Parish of Lafourche, State of Louisiana, installing necessary signs and providing penalties for the violations thereof. Moved by Councilman Lorraine, second by Councilman Araby. Would anyone from the public like to comment on ordinance number 7? Second call for public input, ordinance 7. Last and final call for any public input, ordinance number 7. Anyone from the council like to discuss this? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence. That absence being Councilman Adams. Item 8, ordinance directing the replacement and reduced levy of a 5.41 mils ad valorem tax for a period of 10 years, beginning with the year 2023 and ending with the year 2032, for the purpose of acquiring, constructing, improving, maintaining, operating, and/or supporting public facilities, works, and/or improvements in the parish, including equipment, furnishings, and supplies, and the levy of a 8.00 mils ad valorem tax in lieu of a 3.34 mils ad valorem tax for a period of 10 years, beginning in the year of 2023 and ending in the year of 2032, for the purpose of acquiring, constructing, improving, maintaining, and operating drainage works and roads in the parish, including the acquisition, operation, and maintenance of vehicles, machinery, and equipment, and the cost of salaries related thereto. Would anyone like to move on that? on behalf of the administration. Mr. Jones, second by Councilwoman Chasson. Anyone from the public like to comment on that long ordinance number 8? Second call, ordinance number 8 for the public. Last and final call for public input on ordinance number 8. Anyone from the council like to discuss? Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As I noted in the agenda summary to you guys last week, the next several ordinances all have to do with the tax reform election, right? So the people voted to consolidate the tax structure and do all the things that we've been talking about for the last 8 months. So this one actually is reducing the consolidated millage, doing away with the 2 millages for the 2 drainage districts, and actually levying the new, what I will call the new 8 mil property tax. That's the consolidated tax. Does nothing else but do that 10-year tax. We're doing it now. You guys are going to start to see on the proposed side the regular ordinances we do every year for the millages, so we can get all of this on this year's tax roll.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Melvin.
And I'm concerned about some of these, but I know, hey, public voted, I get it. But I didn't know, last time we discussed if we let one, like I was just talking about Fifth Ward Drainage District, if we just let it run out. What's the difference if we just let it run out?
So this has nothing to do with the boards themselves. There will be a separate ordinance that will come to you guys, probably the first meeting in June, that will abolish the 2 drainage districts. All this does is levy the new millage. So this passes tonight, and in June, should you guys, for whatever reason, not vote to abolish the districts, then they would not collect the millage anymore, right? So if they had, I'm gonna use a round number, right? They have $1 million in the bank, then they would just continue to operate until that $1 million runs out, and then we'd have to abolish the board anyway. So this does nothing but carry out what the voters voted on. Has nothing to do with the boards.
Okay. All right, because again, I'm just, parish talking, I'm not a lawyer, but, we talk to different people, and I just still have some questions ringing, because, of course, I'm not a lawyer about some of these things that were, again, I get when the voters voted on it, but to take from here and move, I'm still kind of trying to unpack that, because, again, if a high school votes for something for that high school, and then the other 2 high schools get the vote to take it away, again, it just doesn't sound 100% right.
So Mr. Melvin, you guys all have a copy of the memo from Butler Snow, which is the tax attorneys that wrote the ballot languages and made sure everything we did was actually legal, so none of us ended up in federal prison. What you have to remember is that these boards are political subdivisions of you guys, right? They are unpaid board members.
Oh, I know that. I'm just talking about
Right,
the fact that they were even in the election. I'm still questioning it, because I'm just still wondering if all that's legal to take something.
So if I could finish real quick.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so if you read the memo, what it says is it gives you the background of the legalities of why that is legal, that you can do that, right? You guys are the governing authority for these districts. So we can make up a ballot measure that says we consolidated all the rec districts. Some of you on the council voted for that years ago. That stripped away other rec districts' ability to do taxes later on in the year as those taxes rolled off. It's the same scenario that we went through with that stuff. Only that wasn't even, I don't even think that went to the voters, Mr. Chairman, correct me if I'm wrong. But this actually did, because we were actually truly consolidating stuff. That's why it went to the voters that way.
Okay.
Mr. Lorraine.
Yeah, I just think that these districts was cut short 4 years of the people that voted to support them taxes. They cut them short 4 years. So I think the district should continue to run with the amount of money they have until they have no more money. Because you can't take that money and go spend it parish-wide. It's for that district. The only one that I think was done right in my book, whether you agree or disagree, was the one with the garbage. You gave away 4/10 to the school board. That makes a lot of sense. You're going to see what's going to happen when that comes up. Just keep up with the bids that are going out for garbage in other parishes as we speak. It ain't going to be no $16. But I just think that they don't tell you that they cut 4 years on Drainage District 5. They cut on Drainage District 1. Hey, the people voted for 10 years, not for 6. And I just think it's wrong what they did. And I will never support it.
Thank you, Mr. Lorraine. Any further discussion? There be none, we'll move it to a vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 7 yeas, 1 nay, 1 absent. That absence being Councilman Adams, and that nay being Councilman Lorraine. Good. Item 9, ordinance directing the levy and collection of a .50% sales and use tax for a period of 20 years beginning October 1st, 2023, to be dedicated and used for the purposes of constructing, improving, and/or maintaining public roads, bridges, and drainage works in the district, and for funding the proceeds of the tax into bonds to be issued for any of the aforesaid purposes, including refinancing outstanding debt of Consolidated Sales Tax District A and Road District Number 2. Mr. Jones, you move on this one for the behalf of administration. Ms. Chesson, you second that motion. Would anyone from the public like to comment on ordinance number 9? Second call for public input, ordinance number 9. Last and final call for public input, ordinance number 9. Anyone from the council like to discuss ordinance 9? There being none, we'll move it to a vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 7 yeas, 1 nay, that nay being Councilman Lorraine, 1 absence, that absence being Councilman Adams. Item 10, ordinance directing the levy and collection of a reduced .30% sales and use tax in perpetuity beginning October 1st, 2023, to be dedicated and used to pay the cost of constructing, acquiring, maintaining, and operating solid waste collection and disposal facilities, enclosing garbage dumps in the district, and for funding the proceeds into bonds issued for any of the aforesaid purposes. Mr. Jones will move on behalf of the administration, second by Councilwoman Chesson. Anyone from the public like to comment on ordinance number 10? Second call, public input, ordinance number 10. Last and final call for public input on ordinance number 10. Anyone from the council like to discuss ordinance number 10?
I just want to say in 1985, we passed a 1 cent sales tax for Lockport, Golden and the rest of the parish except Thibodeau. And from 1985 till now, we're down to 3/10. 3/10 cannot pay the garbage, but I can tell you this one was done the right way. And that's why I'm going to support this one.
Thank you, Ms. Lorraine. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence, that absence being Councilman Adams. Item 11, ordinance directing the discontinuance of the levy and collection of a .90 mills tax on all property subject to taxation in Drainage District Number 1 for the Parish of Lafourche, State of Louisiana, the district, for a period of 10 years, beginning with the year 2017 and ending with the year 2026, for the purpose of operating and maintaining drainage works within and for the district as approved by the voters on November 21st, 2015. Mr. Jones, you move on behalf of the administration, second by Councilwoman Chesson. Anyone from the public would like to comment on ordinance number 11? Second call, public input, ordinance 11. Last and final call for public input on ordinance number 11. Anyone from the council like to discuss ordinance number 11? There being none, we'll move it to a vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 7 yeas, 1 nay, that nay being Councilman Lorraine, 1 absence, that absence being Councilman Adams. Item 12, ordinance directing the discontinuance of the levy and collection of a 0.5% sales and use tax in road sales tax District Number 2 of the Parish of Lafourche, State of Louisiana, the district, for a period of 20 years beginning January 1st, 2008, for the purpose of constructing, improving, and or maintaining public roads, bridges, and drainage works in the district as approved by the voters on March 31st, 2007. Mr. Jones will move on behalf of the administration. Mr. Wendell will second that motion. Would anyone from the public like to comment on ordinance number 13? Second call, public input, ordinance number 13. Last and final call for public input on ordinance number 13. For the record, please reflect Ms. Chesson stepped out of chambers at 17:44. Would anyone from the council like to discuss ordinance number 13? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 6 yeas, 1 nay, that nay being Councilman Lorraine, 1 council person stepping out of the chambers, that being Councilwoman Chesson, and 1 council member being absent, that absent being Councilman Adams. Good?
Yes, sir.
Item 14, ordinance directing the discontinuance of the levy and collection of a 5 mills tax on all property subject to taxation in Road District Number 1 of the Parish of Lafourche, State of Louisiana, the district, for a period of 10 years, beginning with the year 2019 and ending with the year 2028, for the purpose of acquiring, constructing, improving, and maintaining public roads and bridges within the district, including the necessary equipment therefore, as approved by the voters on November 18th, 2017. Mr. Jones will move on my behalf of the administration, second by Councilman Grow. Would anyone from the public like to comment on ordinance number 14? Yes, sir.
Did you skip
Oh, hold on.
Adam Parker Butler.
I'm sorry. Hold on 1 second.
That's what I was coming to just say.
Okay, so I skipped 13.
Yep.
All right.
And the last one was 12.
I digress. Okay, let me reread that one. I circled it. Item 13, I was waiting for Councilwoman Shess, I'll be able to participate. Item 13, and thank you for that correction. Item 13, ordinance directing the discontinuance of the levy and collection of a 1% sales and use tax in Consolidated Sales Tax District A of the Parish of Lafourche, State of Louisiana, the district, for a period of 20 years, beginning October 1st, 2007, for the purpose of constructing, improving, and maintaining public roads, bridges, and drainage works in the district as approved by the voters on March 31st, 2007. And please let the record reflect Ms. Chesson will be in the chambers at 1746. So moved by Mr. Jones, second by Councilwoman Chesson. Would anyone from the public like to comment on ordinance number 13? Second call, public input, ordinance number 13. Last and final call for public input on ordinance number 13. Anyone from the council wants to discuss 13? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 7 yeas, 1 nay, that nay being Councilman Lorraine, and 1 absence, that absence being Councilman Adams. Now, on to our item 14, ordinance directing the discontinuance of the levy and collection of a 5 mills tax on all property subject to taxation in Road District Number 1 of the Parish of Lafourche, State of Louisiana, the district for a period of 10 years, beginning with the year 2019 and ending with the year 2028 for the purpose of acquiring, constructing, improving, and maintaining public roads and bridges within the district, including the necessary equipment, therefore as approved by the voters on November 18, 2017. Moved by Councilman Jones on behalf of the administration, second by Councilwoman Chesson. Anyone from the public like to comment on ordinance number 14? Second call, anyone from the public wants to comment on ordinance 14? Last and final call, anyone from the public likes to comment on item 14, this ordinance? Anyone from the council? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence. Okay, let's correct that. It still passes with 7 yeas, 1 nay, that nay being Councilman Lorraine, and 1 absence, that absence being Councilman Adams. Good?
Yes, sir.
Item 15, ordinance directing the discontinuance of the levy and collection of a 4.62 mills tax on all property subject to taxation in 5th Ward, Gravity Drainage District Number 5 of the Parish of Lafourche, State of Louisiana, the district, for a period of 10 years, beginning with the year 2018 and ending with the year 2027, for the purpose of improving, maintaining, and operating the district's drainage works as approved by the voters on November 18, 2017. Moved by Mr. Jones on behalf of the administration, second by Councilwoman Chesson. Anyone from the public like to comment on item 15? Second call, public input, item 15. Last and final call for public's input on this particular ordinance, item number 15. Anyone from the council wants to discuss? Mr. Melvin?
Yeah, I'm going to support this simply because it doesn't dismantle the thing, so I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Melvin. Any further discussion on item 15? All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 7 yeas, 1 nay, that nay being Councilman Lorraine, and 1 absence, that absence being Councilman Adams. Item 16, ordinance accepting the bid of Go Paddle for the Scenic Overlook Kayak Kiosk lease and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer the said agreement and any all relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Araby for the administration, second by Mr. Wendell. Any discussion on item 16 by the public? Second call for public input, item 16. Last and final call for any public input on item 16. Anyone from the council wants to discuss? Mr. Wendell, you have the floor, sir.
Is this at the scenic boardwalk, or is this under the overpass?
Mr. President?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, under the overpass on Highway 90. So it'll be similar just to what is by the new dock facility built at Nichols. So it'll be a little kiosk you can walk up to, scan a code, pay electronically. It'll give you a combination lock. You can unlock the kayak and a paddle and a life jacket, paddle around the bayou, and then put it back.
I was there the other day, and we have some serious erosion issues.
We're working on that, yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Wendell. Any further discussion on item 16? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence, that absence being Councilman Adams. I'll now entertain a motion to close public hearing. So moved by Councilman Jones, second by Councilman Wendell. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence, that absence being Councilman Adams. Ms. Chesson, can you take over item J, proposed ordinances, please?
Yes, sir. Proposed ordinances 17, proposed ordinance amending Chapter 2, Article 2, Section 2-36, precinct polling places of Lafourche Parish Code of Ordinances, changing the polling location for Ward 2, Precinct 10 to W.S. Lafargue School, and to further establish the effective date of same, and authorizing the parish president to sign and execute, administer any and all relevant documents. Mr. Jerry Jones for administration. 18, proposed ordinance approving a lease agreement between the Lafourche Parish School Board, Parish of Lafourche for leasing the premises located at 700 Plantation Road, Thibodaux, Louisiana, 70301, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relevant documents. Mr. Jerry Jones for administration. Number 19, proposed ordinance amending Chapter 2, Article 2, Section 2-36, precinct polling places of the Lafourche Parish Code of Ordinances, changing the polling location for Ward 6, Precinct 4 to 6 Ward Middle School, and to further establish the effective date of same, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any and all relevant documents. Mr. Jim Wendell for administration. Number 20, proposed ordinance approving a lease agreement between Lafourche Parish School Board and the Parish of Lafourche for leasing the premises located at 1865 Choctaw Road, Thibodaux, Louisiana, 70301, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relevant documents. Mr. Jim Wendell for administration. Proposed ordinance approving a servitude agreement between Bradfields and the Lafourche Parish government in the Raceland area, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relevant documents. Mr. Jim Wendell for administration. Number 22, proposed ordinance approving a servitude agreement between Randy Bluen and the Lafourche Parish government in the Raceland area, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relevant documents. Mr. Jim Wendell for administration. Number 23, proposed ordinance approving a servitude agreement between Stephen P. Juneau, Louis J. Juneau, and Lafourche Parish government in the Raceland area, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relevant documents. Mr. Jim Wendell for administration. Number 24, proposed ordinance approving a servitude agreement between Catherine C. Caberline and Lafourche Parish government in the Raceland area, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relevant documents. Mr. Jim Wendell for administration. 25, proposed ordinance approving the holding of an election in Central Lafourche Ambulance Service District of the Parish of Lafourche, State of Louisiana, on Saturday, October 14, 2023, to authorize the renewal of a special tax therein. Mr. Jim Wendell for administration. 26, proposed ordinance approving a non-warranty cash sale. That could have been you. 26, proposed ordinance approving a non-warranty cash sale agreement for property adjudicated to the Lafourche Parish government located on Bayou Lane, Thibodaux, Louisiana, 70301, assessment number 0020542760, for a minimum starting bid of $5,620, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said cash sale and any and all relevant documents. Mr. Michael Grove for administration. Number 27, proposed ordinance levying and imposing taxes for 2023 on all the properties subject to taxation in the parish of Lafourche, Fire Protection District Number 4. Mr. Melvin for administration. 28, proposed ordinance levying and imposing taxes for 2023 on all properties subject to taxation in the parish of Lafourche, Fire Protection District Number 9. Mr. Terry Araby. 29, proposed ordinance levying and imposing taxes for 2023 on all the properties subject to taxation in the parish of Lafourche, Fire Protection District Number 1. Mr. Terry Araby for administration. 30, proposed ordinance levying and imposing taxes for 2023 on all the properties subject to taxation in the parish of Lafourche, 5th Ward, Gravity Drainage District Number 5. Mr. Jim Wendell for administration. 31, proposed ordinance levying and imposing taxes for 2023 on all the properties subject to taxation in the parish of Lafourche, Drainage District Number 1. Jim Wendell for administration. 32, proposed ordinance levying and imposing taxes for 2023 on all the properties subject to taxation in the parish of Lafourche, Special Service District Number 1. Mr. Jim Wendell for administration. 33, proposed ordinance levying and imposing taxes for 2023 on all the properties subject to taxation in the parish of Lafourche, Veterans Memorial District, Ward 10. Mr. Daniel Lorraine for administration. Number 34, proposed ordinance providing for 2023 supplemental appropriation 23-005 within the 2023 operations and maintenance budget and capital outlay budget to correct carryover projects from the 2022 operations and maintenance budget and capital outlay budget to 2023 operations and maintenance and capital outlay, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said transactions as provided for by Article 6 of the Lafourche Parish Home Rule Charter. Mr. Jerry Jones for administration. Number 35, proposed ordinance to dededicate a right-of-way deed of approximately 4,000 feet, more or less, of roadway known as A.O. Rapollet Road and Chevron Road located in Ward 10, District 9 of Lafourche Parish, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any and all relevant documents. Mr. Daniel Lorraine for administration. Number 36, proposed ordinance establishing unmuffled compression brakes prohibited signs on Highway 182 in Raceland, with one sign being placed on the westbound shoulder of Highway 182 at approximately 300 feet south of the intersection of Highway 182 and Highway 652, Buford Street, and the other sign being placed on the eastbound shoulder of Highway 182 and approximately 900 feet south of the intersection of Highway 182 and Highway 653 in Raceland, Louisiana, Parish of Lafourche, State of Louisiana, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said application and any and all relevant documents. Mr. Jim Wendell for administration. Turn it over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Ms. Chasson. Item K, resolutions. Number 37, resolution approving the services of DRC Emergency Services LLC for contracted services relative to private property nuisance abatement of condemned structures to proceed with demolition and debris removal, 23-094.2, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any and all relevant documents. Mr. Araby will move on behalf of the administration, second by Mr. Wendell. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence, that absence being Councilman Adams. Item 38, resolution adopting the Citizen Participation Plan for Implementation in the Louisiana Community Development Block Grant, LCDBG, and or the Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery, CDBG-DR programs, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said plan and any and all relevant documents. Mr. Wendell will move on behalf of the administration, second by Councilman Grow. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence, that absence being Councilman Adams. Item 39, resolution accepting a grant from Petco Love in the amount of $20,000 for general pet care and supplies, authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any and all relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Jones for administration, second by Ms. Chesson. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence, that absence being Councilman Adams. Item I, parish president, department heads, directors, or manager reports, presentations, and or updates. Number 40, Department of Public Works representative to present a report. Mr. Dillon, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you, sir. Good evening. All right, we'll go ahead and get started. As always, with the Thibodeau Field Office, this is Oakland Lane, swept outfall. Bentley Drive, outfall, swept outfall. Silverado, outfall, removed beaver dam. Lake McLean Avenue, reestablished ditch. Moving to the Choctaw Field Office, this is Bayou Onion Lane, clean culverts, as well as Highway 304. Chack Bay North Levee, clean Barrel Canal. For the By Blue Field Office, this is Silver Creek Drive, swept roadside ditches. Terre Haute Place, removed trees from outfall. Fox Trail Drive, swept roadside ditches. Roberts Drive, this is a repair of a pothole. Mia Drive, swept outfall. The Raceland Field Office is District 1 of 12 pump station, clean reservoir. St. Patrick Street, swept roadside ditches. The 500 block of 4 Point Drive, swept roadside ditches. Magnolia Street, remove and replace collapsed cross culvert. Zen Street, removed and replaced collapsed culvert. The Lockport Field Office is North Leon, replace collapsed driveway culvert. Twin Oaks Drive, replace collapsed driveway culvert. Johnny Dufresne Drive, replace collapsed driveway culvert. This is a Nolan Toops Outfalls Drainage Improvements Project. This is the culvert on the East 14th, or the 14th place outfall that we call it. That side is complete, and we're moving to the main outfall. This is closest to the subdivision.
North side, south side?
it's on the south side, on the down the Bahia side. This ties into the outfall on 14th Street. Hamilton Street Bridge, repaired bridge approach. We had a failure there a few weeks back. Highland Drive, replaced collapsed cross culvert. LeBlanc Drive, swept roadside ditches. Moving to Galliana Field Office, this is West 22nd Street, remove collapsed landscape culverts. And West 126th Street, swept roadside ditches. As far as work completed by the maintenance contractor, the only job completed over the last month was the Fairway Drive Drainage Improvements project. As far as the office work done in Department of Public Works, there were no permanent servitudes acquired. One major subdivision inspection and 3 property re-subdivision reviews were completed. We accepted 19 culvert permits and 3 fence permits. 270 work requests were received. 78 permits were reviewed for compliance. As far as engineering work, we have 24 projects currently in design phase, 12 under construction, 2 projects that are currently out for bid, 1 project that was recently completed, and we did have household hazardous waste disposal day on April 29th, where we saw just under 200 vehicles here. And with that, I'll entertain any questions.
Ms. Chesson?
Hey, Dylan,
Yes, ma'am.
can we talk about West 11th Street and the project we have going on there?
Yes, ma'am. The contractor is working on it. We had surveyors out there to stake the limits of the canal today. They did soften the side slopes a little bit. There was a little issue with elevation in the canal. As we spoke earlier today, we found out about that this morning. It has all been resolved. And they are working their way to the front. They should be towards Avenue G in the next week or 2. But the driveway culverts are going to be replaced if they're determined to be replaced. We put them on site because we didn't want to stop anybody from not being able to get in and out. They are going to double check the survey, check the elevations of it. If it does check out, they can leave it in place and the culverts can get placed. If not, it will be removed and replaced at the correct elevation. I presume they're going to change all of them while we're there. We're just going to wait and see what happens.
And what's our goal, our end goal?
So long-term goal was to drop the culvert elevation in the rear of the outfall. That culvert was sitting on a pump station foundation and could not be lowered to the correct elevation, so it was sitting right at a foot and 2 inches too high. The contractor was able to go in there, remove the existing culvert, jackhammer the slab that was underneath it, put the culvert at the correct elevation so we can achieve more flow through the ditch and have the right size culvert at the end of the canal at the right invert.
Okay,
So we should, and the ditch cross-section, a lot of people fussing about the size of the ditch, but the ditch cross-section was modeled by an engineer to accept a 25-year event. So our subdivision standards call for 25-year events. It's only right that we follow our own regulations.
Right, what about the culverts that are passing under 3235? Is that being
So that is
addressed?
part of a much bigger project called West Side Drainage Improvements. That will hopefully, we got all the green lights on it. We're just presenting the project to DOTD for DOTD to fund it, fully fund it. We did learn that any work done in DOTD right away will be fully funded by DOTD, so that's good. The parish will only have to cost share in engineering, not so much in construction, unless there's construction outside of state right away. But that project is coming. I'd like to tell you it would happen quick, but we all know that's not going to happen.
Right.
Hopefully in the next 2 to 3 years, we can see that. We are going to redirect that water, hopefully directly to the Borough Canal, and not have it going through West 11th and 13th on the downstream side of 3235, but the modelers have to tell us that that'll work.
Okay, and how many homes, do you know offhand?
Oh, no, I
Wouldn't
can't
know.
even speculate. No, ma'am.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Melvin?
Hey, Dylan, thank you. I really appreciate it. Fairway looks great, and I know Miss Patsy saw me at the Farmers Fair Parade. She's very happy with that. So
Good,
thank
glad
y'all.
to hear.
Thank y'all very much. Real quick, and a constituent texted me while I was watching, so I may have missed it, but the Dwight Street pothole that the gas company tried to patch, God bless them, is still a mess, and the constituent was asking about that.
So we put that, I sent you an email maybe
I got it, but
3-4 weeks
she
ago.
texted me tonight.
We'll reach out to the gas company again. They asked for one more chance to please repair it. We're going to afford them that opportunity one more time to repair it. If they don't
Okay.
repair it, then we'll step in
Okay.
and do it. They did repair it. It's just a subpar repair.
Yeah. Also, cement line ditch, any news on that? 'Cause
So we did confirm, we don't want to have to go through the country club to get the material there, so we wanted to relay it across the canal. We will verify on one right-of-way, which we did find
Okay,
yesterday. We
great.
do have a 15-foot right-of-way, so we're going to haul the equipment and material to the end of Fairway,
Yes,
and then relay it across the canal, and just have a skid steer across to the country club one time, do the job, and then get out.
Thank you. Last question. I sent an email and it didn't go because I was trying to load too many pictures
I
from
did get it.
913 Martinez.
I did get it. Somebody was supposed to go look at it today. I didn't
That's
get a
fine.
report
Cool.
back from it,
Just
so
checking.
as soon as we know something, I'll get in touch with you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Araby.
Mr. Dillon, I just got another project I'd like for you to look at on the end of Market Street.
Market?
Yeah. We have a lot of, especially when we get a lot of rain, we get a lot of flooding in that last block area or so, a couple of blocks. I think if that's a possibility, if we could put us another outfall going to the 40 Opera Reservoir right there for Market Street, again, you'd have to bore under or jack up Highway 652. But we had done that years ago for the VW Street, well, instead of VW, St. Louis Street. We had put another cross cover going to the 40 Upper right there. And I think we may have a little problem with the water line, because if my mind serves me right, I think we had to get them to lower it when we done the St. Louis Street project. So I know they got one for St. Louis Street, we got one for St. Philip because it's the Blanchard Canal, and we also got one for Io. And all Market Street water has to turn and go catch all this other stuff. So if that's a possibility, if we can add another one going to the 40 Upper, I think that would help tremendously.
So I will say this, whenever we were doing all that homework for Blanchard Canal, we did find another right-of-way further east that was an old abandoned street right-of-way, so we may still have access in that right-of-way. We may be able to utilize it. I'll look into it and let you know.
Well, I know a lot of that stuff is abandoned right now, but where they used to have houses at and everything else, so I don't know who owns it, but possibility being it's all abandoned right now, we may better get a right-of-way from whoever owns it to, put a cover under the ground right there.
Yeah, we'll start doing some homework on that, and we'll look at it in the next rain event.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Lorraine.
Yes, it looks like they got quite a few covers going around in the parish. On April the 11th, I asked you about Jody Roos's project. You told me that we had a right-of-way with Jody, but the last 40 feet, we didn't have the right-of-way. You said you were going to check with Schwess or whatever. I still think it's ConocoPhillips. The parish bought two 20-foot joints of 48-inch covers that was put on the site before y'all took over, right before y'all took over, and packed up and brought it to Lockport Bourne, and they bought that in 2018. That's how long we've been working on this canal. And so what I did, on April the 25th, 2023, you said y'all found the right-of-way. There was a right-of-way, okay? So what I did, I went to the Drainage District meeting on April the 13th, and they approved two 60-inch culverts to be put in that location. That was approved by Drainage District 1 at their last meeting on April the 13th. They're meeting this Thursday. And that's 29 days ago, and still nothing done. What's really upsetting me the most is that you have an excavator on site that's been sitting there for 29 days, brand new, never moved. We dig in the canal, or finish the canal pretty much for ConocoPhillips, about a half a mile from this site. It's just about done while this is waiting. The piece of equipment, send it somewhere and get a ditch dug somewhere. Doesn't have to be my district, but that project should be done. So what is the holdup?
So the holdup was the right-of-way. We did confirm the right-of-way last week. We did confirm that the right person had the right-of-way and the property was sold by LL&E to Galliana. I can't think of the exact name of the company now, but we did verify everything. It is all ready to go. I wanted to run a few things by administration, but it's ready to go. We can do it.
But what I'm trying to tell you, the Drainage District purchased two culverts.
They did not purchase the culverts. If you read the meeting minutes, they approved the reimbursement of the culverts to Lafourche Parish government if Lafourche Parish government could prove that there was a right-of-way.
They're going to pay for something that's
But they
going
didn't
to be
purchase
paid
it.
twice, because we bought those culverts in 2018 in June, before you were there. They were paid for $40 a foot. Now they're $90 a foot. Same culverts. Okay, where did they go? I have no idea. They were delivered to the Lockport barn, and from there, they drew some wings, and I don't know where in the hell they're at. Okay, but somebody knows. But anyway, is that gonna be done shortly?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Good deal. Mr. Grove?
I have a question in regards to the pump stations. In the past, most importantly for me, the Layton one, we used to get an update on if they pumping at full capacity, if things are broken. Can we start getting that again?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we do it every 2 weeks. I can tell you of the 159 pumps in the parish, 2 are currently down, and we have portable pumps at that location, backing them up. They have been down for quite some time, but we have an access issue on getting them out.
And even when it was running really good, we always had that portable pump, back of Waverly, that would help Jones and I's area out on the tracks. Is that still there? A plan to be in place? Is still there?
Yes, still there.
Mr. Wendell?
In your Thibodeau field office section, you had a reestablishment of a ditch. Is that the one by 40 Arpent with the gas line that we
Yes, sir.
looked at the map? And that was done before the latest rain event?
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Jones?
Yeah, Mr. Lafourche, quick update on the alert bump rumble strip. You got something on that?
So we are having a terrible time still with that company, trying to get a quote from them. We have reached out to our maintenance contractor. They have another company that they have used. They've done something similar in Terrebonne Parish, so we're waiting on them to get us a cost estimate, because we're hitting a dead end with our
Also, the
contacts.
Traffic light, the
So
caution
we
light.
did get a cost on the traffic light. We are waiting on 2 more quotes, but I need to discuss that with administration as well and see what we can do to expedite that.
And last one, I sent you an email, 162 McLean and Ivy Lake. Can we get Darren to go over there and meet those people to see what can be did?
Yes, sir.
for that
I'm
flood?
assuming that has to do with the new ditch we just dug in that
The what?
area. I'm assuming that has to do with the ditch we just dug on Lake McLean.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Yep. I did see the email come through. I'll look at it after the meeting.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Grove, you got a follow-up?
I have another question. So, when we have people that are requesting like speed bumps, and if it's an association, neighborhood association that wants to get the flashing light that, slow down, shows the speed, do we engage the sheriff's department with that? Or,
So-
if they wanted to buy it, who do we send them to?
If they want to buy it, I guess we could, yeah. A traffic study would have to be completed first, and it'd have to be determined that they need it or don't need it. If they go to our website and look at the Public Works page, they can see the information on who to contact and who to get that traffic study done. Once that traffic study is done, it's given to us. We then present it to the council or the council
They need
person.
a traffic study if they're doing it?
So,
themselves?
Mr. President, did
I would say
Thibodeau
yes.
require that when they did them? They didn't require a traffic
No, so
study?
the only ones that I remember putting up in the city were in Acadia Woods. And I think the homeowners association worked with Chief Zarain. So I would just have the HOA reach out to Lieutenant Labat, who manages the traffic group, and let him start with Lieutenant Labat and see if that's something they would actually need a traffic study for. I don't know if he would request one or want one.
We talking about the flashing speed limit signs?
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're the enforcement agency on it. They would have to get a letter of no objection for us to put it in our right of way, but that's the extent of it, I guess.
Yeah, they should be able to move on that quick, I would think. Only question I have is, so for the second time this year, I had a couple of streets that got way out of hand with the grass. Just the residents there not taking care of it, so the field office went out and cut it. But for the second time, that the grass left in the ditch caused problems at the culverts with the major rain event we had like Saturday night. My question is, do we have the ability to pull that grass out? Do we just not, or?
We have the ability, we probably don't have the manpower.
Okay.
If we did that everywhere. We are looking at some different options. We did demo a piece of equipment last week that has instead of a rotary cutter, it's a frail mower, and it does chip it up smaller. So we were looking at the benefits of that. We have had very bad results with them previously when we got to briar bushes or any type of viney stuff. It would hang up in it. This new design may be beneficial to us. We're all looking at that. That won't solve everything across the parish because we can't afford to replace all of them, but it's something that we're looking at. We do know it's a problem. When we get to the 48 and 60-inch culverts, not so much of a problem, but the 24 to 36 it is apparent because the grass is 4 foot tall. We cut it, it lays it down, it stacks and causes a blockage. I wish we did have the manpower to go and do that everywhere. If you have some hot spots that you know of, please let me know. We do get the inmate crew 4 days a week. We can send them to those hot spots and knock them out. But it does happen, and we hate when it happens, but we usually get the phone calls as well.
Yeah, well, these were, the two residents were residents maybe once a year, once every other year, so it was a legitimate, and I unfortunately just wasn't around. I normally go pull it out with a rake when they call me, but I couldn't. Anyway, thank you very much, Dylan, much appreciated.
Thank you.
Brings us to item M, questions for the administration.
Oh, yeah.
Ms. Chasson.
Oh, yeah. Mr. Shassa, our shopping center where the Taco Bell is, that big monstrosity that is just sitting there rotting away, rats in and out. We do have vagrant that are just housing in there. It's a mess. Do we have an owner for that? Has he been contacted to do something about this property?
He has. We're reaching the end of the legal process with those guys. The same thing with the apartment complex behind the shopping center. And what I'm afraid is going to end up happening is we're going to hit the end of the legal process. We have one or two options at that point. We can either go knock them down and we eat the cost and then have to put a lien on the property and all that fun stuff, put it on the tax roll, hope they pay it. If they don't, then we seize the property. Or we can go down the route that we've tried a couple times with sending the sheriff's office out there and issuing them a summons and actually taking it to court. Both processes take about the same amount of time. I'd like to think those two properties, we're going to try to issue the summons and bring them to court. That way we don't have to front that cost. But all else fails, and at some point we're going to have to go knock it down. Which, as you and I had that conversation last week, it's pitiful that we have to spend tax dollars to go do that when the very prominent businessman who owns it could easily do it.
Who's that owner?
Mr. That is the Roosters, I'm sorry. I gave you the wrong name.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Araby.
Oh, yeah, I got a bunch. No, I'm just kidding. Archie, but if we have to go knock it down, and we, like you said, put it on a tax roll and it all paid, and we pick up that property, that might be a prime location to put a little complex or something.
It could be.
Parish, facility,
Yeah.
We'd have the property.
Yeah, we're gonna, and I think I mentioned this to you guys before. We're gonna very soon be in the real estate business. This was the first year that, working with the assessor's office, we put all of the liens that we've had over the years, so some $900,000 in what I'd like to call bad debt on the tax roll, and they're going to be about 100 or so properties that are going to end up being adjudicated to us because people aren't going to pay the taxes on it. So we're going to have quite a few pieces of property that we could either hopefully sell off or lease off to the neighbors like we've done with some of the FEMA properties, but we're going to be in the real estate market game pretty soon.
And last but least, you got a little update for me on my speed humps.
I did. So I talked to Major Champagne week before last. The report has been completed. It's been sent to the sheriff's office, or to the sheriff himself for his review. Unfortunately, I was not able to meet with the sheriff yesterday, so I'm working to reschedule that for Monday. We had some family issues yesterday, so I'm going to meet with him on Monday and hopefully get you a result. We have people lining up for speed bumps. I got a request for some in Mr. Jones's district on Esplanade over the weekend. They're all stacking up. We got $200,000 worth of speed humps that we can go install tomorrow, and only about $100 and some odd thousand left in the budget to go do it.
Yeah, but if I remember right, I put them in my capital budget.
You did. So, and we're going to address that with you guys. We're working through the budget now, so this is something we're going to continue. And again, I've offered to the sheriff's office if speed humps work. I think we've all come to that conclusion based on what I've heard from the sheriff's office. But do we also use some funding for extra patrols and actually start writing tickets too? So I think there's multiple options we're going to look at, but those are some conversations that I have to have with Sheriff Weber next week.
Well, I'm just kind of concerned because, we passed the ones in my area, the 3 streets in my area with 9-0, and.
Oh, I'm not saying we're going to jump anybody and we're going to do anything.
But I'm looking to get those 3 streets finished, and that's what I'm asking for. So, thank you.
Mr. Lorraine.
Yeah, I want you, the one you were talking about down the bayou, that's the one by the Bayou Inn, right? That's the one with an attorney from Homer that has that, and I saw he put a sign, commercial property for sale.
Yeah.
Who in the hell's gonna buy that to destroy the building? Come on. I know he's an attorney, but I know I gotta watch what I say because, but anyway, getting back to the one at South Lafourche, the dollar store is now open for business. So whoever wants to go to the dollar store, the only problem is not everything's $1. But anyway.
Thank you, Ms. Lorraine. Any further questions for the administration? Brings us to item in discussion. Discussion? Any words? Nothing else to go, Mr. President?
I got nothing tonight, Mr. Chairman. I got to drive to Lake Charles, so I'm ready to go.
All right. You about to press your button, Mr. Melvin?
I'd just like to wish my wife a happy birthday.
Very good. Happy birthday. Ms. Shesso?
I want to wish a happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there.
Good point. I'd like to, and final, I just want to thank everyone that came out. We've been inundated with events here for the last few weeks, and a couple of them were some really would have been some rainouts. both the TAA event that was right here in Matthews, and then, lifetime member of VFW in 3665 in Raceland at 31 crawfish teams, and it poured down rain. But yeah, they had a great, successful event that people really came out. So thanks to the community for supporting these nonprofit organizations. With that said, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment. So we got a motion on the floor by Councilman Jones, second by Councilwoman Chesson, that there is no further business. Lafourche Parish Council regular meeting of May 9, 2023 will be adjourned at 18:21 hours. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence. That absence being Councilman Adams. Thank you all.